Pleasure reminds us to enjoy being alive and on purpose. Pleasure, embodied, connected pleasure, is one of the way we know we are free, when we are free, that we are always free, that we always have the power to co-create the world. Pleasure helps us move through the times that are unfair, through grief and loneliness, through the terror of genocide, or days when the demands are just overwhelming. Pleasure heals the places where our hearts and spirit get wounded. Pleasure reminds us that even in the dark, we are alive. Pleasure is a medicine for the suffering that is absolutely promised in life. Pleasure is the point. Feeling good is not frivolous, it is freedom. Today, we are talking about Our Whole Lives, an important curriculum that teaches humans at every age about how to have healthy relationships with themselves and each other.
By taking this short time of meditation together, we will honor and acknowledge our bodies and all they do for us, even as they change through time. Worship isn't just for our spirit, it is for our spirit's home, our body.
So please settle yourself into a comfortable position. You may close your eyes if you wish. There is a response that we will all repeat throughout the meditation. The response is, my body is a container for love and pleasure. I am a container for wonder and joy. I'm going to read that again. My body is a container for love and pleasure. I am a container for wonder and joy. So let's try all saying that together now. My body is a container for love and pleasure. I am a container for wonder and joy.
To begin our meditation, let's each take a comfortable breath, settle our bodies. And so I'll start with a phrase, and we're going to pause after each phrase and also lead you into saying, again, my body is a container for love and pleasure. I am a container for wonder and joy. Our bodies are ever changing. My body is a container for love and pleasure. I am a container for wonder and joy.
Our changing bodies can bring us great joy and also confusion and challenge.
My body is a container for love and pleasure. I am a container for wonder and joy.
I accept that my body will change throughout my life.
My body is a container for wonder and pleasure. I am a container for wonder and joy. I accept that my body may not move or respond like other people's bodies. My body is a container for love and pleasure. I am a container for wonder and joy.
I accept that my mind may process ideas differently than it used to in other stages of life.
My body is a container for love and pleasure. I am a container for wonder and joy.
I accept that, like the flickering light of a candle, my sexual desire and abilities are changeable and beautiful.
My body is a container for love and pleasure. I am a container for wonder and joy.
May we love our bodies, our whole selves, as well as we are able. My
body is a container for love and pleasure. I am a container for wonder and joy.
Diane.
May we love our bodies throughout our whole lives. My body is a container for love and pleasure. I am a container for wonder and joy.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all we rest in this love. We rest in this love. We rest in this love. We rest in this love.
Our first reading this morning is an excerpt from Sexuality Through a UU Lens by UUA OWL Program Manager Dr. Melanie Davis. OWL helps people of all ages explore sexuality within a framework of the values of self-worth, responsibility, sexual health, and justice and inclusivity. These values honor sexuality as a good part of the human experience, even as we recognize that aspects of it can be misused and violated. Our values are reflected in every activity, reading, and resource within the curriculum. They are the music that sings throughout all levels of the program. Self-worth is defined in OWL as the belief that people of all ages and stages are entitled to dignity and self-worth and to their own attitudes and beliefs about sexuality. Each grade level includes readings, and many workshops include suggestions for songs that reflect the workshop topic and OWL values. The OWL value of responsibility calls us to enrich our lives by expressing sexuality in ways that enhance human wholeness and fulfillment, and that express delight, pleasure, responsible sexual choices, love, and commitment. The value of sexual health says that knowledge about human sexuality is helpful, not harmful. We all have the right to accurate information about sexuality and to have our questions answered. We teach that healthy sexual relationships are consensual, non-exploitative, mutually pleasurable, safe, developmentally appropriate, respectful, and based on mutual expectations and caring. The justice and inclusivity value acknowledges that people of all ages, races, ethnicities, genders, backgrounds, income levels, physical and mental abilities, and sexual orientations must have equal value and rights when it comes to sexuality. OWL programs transform a cultural climate of confusion and fear about sexuality into a new reality in which every person's inherent worth and dignity is valued. Blessed be, we are part of a faith tradition that values us as sexual beings throughout our whole lives. We may express our sexuality in different ways, and we may not always understand each other's identities and behaviors, but if we consider sexuality within the context of our UU principles and the Our Whole Lives values of self-worth, responsibility, sexual health, justice, and inclusivity, we will treat our own and others' sexuality with respect, acceptance, and joy. Thank you.
Our second reading today is The First Pair of Underpants by Reverend Robin Tanner. I wonder, did God's heart, I mean the love-mushy, endearing part of God, that part, the heart that I don't really believe in as a thing with pulses, anyway, did that heart, did it break just a little when God realized, oh no, they have made leaves into underpants? If God says things like underpants. And then the weight hit God, like the first time you watch your child feel self-conscious, hold back the loud belly laugh, or worse yet, bring down their eyes because the shoes you bought aren't good enough. Did God's heart break just a little to see the beauty of freedom slip from their hearts as the heat and heaviness of shame washed over the two in that garden who now knew not enough, no more naked, no more belly laugh, and for the first time wondered, am I good enough? Did God cry a little? Maybe even turn away so they wouldn't see the tears?
My name is Diane Crea, and my pronouns are she, her. And I want to talk about being an OWL facilitator. As an OWL facilitator, I have had the privilege over several years of working with students at all levels of our whole lives that we've offered so far at UUCY, from kindergarten through the 9th grade. This experience has affirmed for me something that has hit home over and over in my career in education, that when it comes to education, the instructor must first and foremost be an enthusiastic learner. For the OWL instructor, learning begins with the comprehensive UUA training program. I'm so grateful that Gal Whitmer and a strong support team have taken up the challenge of hosting regional OWL trainings here at UUCY, which, for those of us who've gone to a distance to attend OWL trainings and all of the added expense and time that that entails, are especially grateful that when we hold it here, it makes it possible for more UUCY folks to take the training close to home, as well as people in our regional organizational partners. So the next time we host, I hope you will consider bringing food for the trainees, providing kitchen help, or even a guest room in your house, or whatever you can, so that our OWL team and those of other churches and organizations near us can grow and sustain. My learning continued after my training as I began teaching the OWL curriculum. Now, you'd think that at my age, which since I've been teaching OWL, is in a decade that begins with a number that rhymes with jive, that I would know everything that OWL, at least that OWL offers kindergartners. You'd think I'd know that stuff. But I picked up some new facts even at that level, and new ways of thinking about identity and family and relationships. I learned even more from the curricula of elementary and junior high. I wish that I would have had that information when I was that age. Needless to say, it's been a while since my rather useless sex ed class of the 1980s. And I bet many of you my age had similar sex ed experiences, if you had any at all. You thought, why am I here? Thank goodness for Google when I was stymied by technical or scientific topics in my OWL lesson prep. I learned a lot from Google. But by far, the most powerful learning of my OWL experience has been from our OWL students and all of my co-facilitators, some of whom I see here today. Their imagination, their experiences, their questions and ideas have ignited my own curiosity. They've given me a privileged glimpse into their families and their schools, their peer groups, and even their virtual video game worlds, which without their kind escort, I would be completely lost. I have entered their lives in confidence, a confidence I will always protect, and emerged with a greater respect and understanding of generations and people with very different experiences from my own. Facilitating OWL has helped me be more sensitive, more aware, more appreciative, and certainly smarter. I thought teaching OWL would be about sagely providing answers and passing on facts and resources, but really, it's about forming trusted relationships. It's about sharing a mutual curiosity about life, where we each fit in, and how we can support one another in our journeys as social and sexual beings. I'm so grateful for all that I have gained and all that I have had the opportunity to share. And I'm really proud to be part of a religious education program that is doing, and I say this not lightly at all, life-saving work at this critical time when access to health information and treatment and resources is more threatened than ever since the last 50 years. I hope that you share our pride in our whole lives at UUCY and continue to lend your support to this life-saving program. This is how we live our social justice values.
Did that heart, did it break just a little when God realized, oh no, they have made leaves into underpants, if God says things like underpants? I wonder how many of us were raised in a church where we'd ever hear the words God and underpants in the same sentence, especially from the pulpit. Secret, I really, really wanted to read this poem. That's why I was like, oh, I could give everybody a reading, but no, I really wanted to do this one. But we are a faith that questions, after all, which means that we wonder. Wonder that means both curiosity and delight. Today's readings, thank you all, and reflection, invite us into lots of wonderings. OWL programs transform a cultural climate of confusion and fear about sexuality into a new reality in which every person's inherent worth and dignity is valued. I wonder what the world would be like if every person was raised truly to feel a sense of self-worth instead of shame, dignity instead of scorn. I wonder what the world would be like if we were not scared to talk about sex, and not just sex, but the whole realm of human relationships, our friendships, our family relationships. I wonder what the world would be like if we loved our bodies no matter their age, their size, their abilities. My body is a container for love and pleasure. I am a container for wonder and joy. I wonder how I would have felt growing up, not just hearing that message, which I didn't, but also truly receiving it. I wonder how much of my own sense of wonder was eclipsed in fear and uncertainty as my own body grew and changed and became strange seeming to me at times. Pleasure reminds us to enjoy being alive and on purpose. Pleasure, embodied, connected pleasure, is one of the ways we know when we are free, that we are always free, that we always have the power to co-create the world. I wonder how many of us were raised with messages that there was something wrong or bad or even evil about pleasure. Within our churches, our homes, even our schools. And yes, Diane, when I was in high school in the 1980s, the entirety of my semester of health class is what we called sex education, was focused entirely on preventing disease. While the AIDS pandemic was first and foremost in the minds of sex educators at the time for very good reason, I wonder what it would have been like to learn good information about taking responsibility for my own sexual health, which I did learn, without the scare tactics and without the judgment, both implicit and very explicit judgment around HIV and AIDS in the 1980s, right? Not now, right? We may express our sexuality in different ways, and we may not always understand each other's identities and behaviors, but if we consider sexuality within the context of our UU principles and the Our Whole Lives values of self-worth, responsibility, sexual health, justice, and inclusivity, we will treat our own and others' sexuality with respect, acceptance, and joy. I wonder what the world would be like if everyone had a chance to take Our Whole Lives, the incredible and life-saving curriculum that we're celebrating today. Because Our Whole Lives, OWL, a shared project of the Unitarian Universalist Association and the United Church of Christ, OWL absolutely knows that our lives and our world will improve if we dared to remove the stain of sin and shame that too many of us have learned in too many cultures and religions. If we stopped promoting the idea that human relationships, human bodies, and human pleasure at every age and stage of life were something to be ashamed of, and instead celebrated them as something to learn about, to understand deeply, to be able to communicate about well, and to share responsibly and joyfully. And then the weight hit God, like the first time you watch your child feel self-conscious, hold back the loud belly laugh, or worse yet, bring down their eyes because the shoes you bought aren't good enough. Did God's heart break just a little to see the beauty of freedom slip from their hearts as the heat and heaviness of shame washed over the two in that garden, who now knew not enough, no more naked, no more belly laugh, and for the first time wondered, am I good enough? Did God cry a little? Maybe even turn away so they wouldn't see the tears? I have mentioned how much I love Robin Tanner's poem. And the first time I heard it, and honestly, the first couple times I read it to practice for this, I couldn't get through it without crying. It's a gut punch. Because that Christian idiom, right, that she is using in the poem, the idea of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, the moment when humans realized they were naked and felt shame, that was a huge part of my upbringing. That my body was something to be hidden out of shame, that I was in some way not good enough because of a metaphorical mistake made in a metaphorical garden. It's the image of God trying first not to laugh and then not to cry that gets me. If we go with the receipt that the poem and the story, if we go with the conceit that is in the poem and the story of the Garden of Eden, if our bodies are gifts from God, if the leaves are also gifts and not underpants, then what are we doing? In the Christian idiom, why are we perpetuating this harm when the sacrifice of Jesus was in direct response to this so-called original sin? Nothing in the Bible, by the way, that was all St. Augustine, right? Original sin that made Adam and Eve reach for those leaves in the first place. And if we are not Christian, how do we see and acknowledge that harmful interpretations of this story, they're not all harmful, but plenty are, right? How do we see and acknowledge the harm done by these interpretations and work to correct that here in our shared world? Is it enough to say that's not my tradition, so that's not my problem? It is not. The OWL program and the amazing people who keep updating the curricula and the amazing people in our congregation and in congregations everywhere who keep offering these classes and training new facilitators know that one of the ways we all get free is by learning a love and respect for ourselves and our neighbors that wipes away shame and fear. To go back to Adrienne Marie Brown from our chalice lighting, pleasure heals the places where our hearts and spirits get wounded. Pleasure reminds us that even in the dark, we are alive. Pleasure is a medicine for the suffering that is absolutely promised in life. Pleasure is the point. Feeling good is not frivolous, it is freedom. I dare to wonder if a world can exist where we can erase the shame and the fear, a world where we can see our bodies as vessels for wonder and delight, a world where human sexuality can be seen with respect, acceptance, and joy. I dare to wonder about making that world possible because the Our Whole Lives curriculum helps to map the way into that very world that we want. You are beautiful. You are loved. You are enough. May all hear that message and know it to be true. So may it be.
the moon sets its sails to carry you to sleep over the midnight sea. I will sing you a song no one sang to me. May it keep you good company. Oh, you can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know that I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one, and the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. There are girls who grow up strong and bold. There are boys quiet and kind. Some race on ahead, some follow behind. Some go in their own way and time. Some women love women, some men love men. Some raise children, some never do. You can dream all the day, never reaching the end of everything possible for you. Don't be rattled by names, by taunts, by games, but seek out spirits true. If you give your friends the best part of yourself, they'll give the same back to you. Oh, you can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart beats, and know that I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one, and the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. Will be the love you leave behind when you're done. Will be the love you leave behind when you're done.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
For everyone born, a place at the table. For everyone born, clean water and bread. A shelter, a space, a safe place for growing. For everyone born, a star overhead. And all will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. Yes, all will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. Justice and joy.
The perfect sending song. We want safety, security, and joy for all. It's not enough just for ourselves, right? When we have it, we want ourselves to be filled with that joy, that knowledge, that respect, and take that out into the world. May you take that and this message with you this week. So may it be.
Everybody who grew up in the 80s, I expect you to join along in whatever portion of this song you remember. It's a little tongue-in-cheek.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life. There's a time you gotta go and show you're growing. Now you know about the facts of life. The facts of life. When the world never seems to be living up to your dreams, and suddenly you're finding out the facts of life are all about you. When there's someone that you care about, it really isn't fair. They're out to fill you up. When you're growing up, when you let them flirt, and then you hurt to wait because your date is late and showing up. And you're growing up, when it's more than just the birds and the bees. You need to someone telling you please. There's only one conclusion, there will always be confusion over you. It takes a lot to get them right. When you're learning the facts of life, learning the facts of life, learning the facts of life, learning the facts of life. You'll avoid a lot of damage and enjoy the fun of managing the facts of life. They shed a lot of light. If you hear it from your brother, better clear it with your mother. Better get it right. Call it late at night. You got the future in the palm of your hand. All you got to do is get you through and understand. You think you'd rather do without, you'd never make it through without the truth.